action. So to start off with, I'll go through them all in just a second, but this is a Sakura jig that I bought from Art of Fishing in Cornwall. As you can see by all the teeth marks on it, the Bonito loved this thing to death. I can't remember what the hook is on the back, but all my hooks are barbless, but a barbless single on the back and a ball bearing swivel on the front, just because it did twist a little bit, and I don't like twisted line even though it's braid. So that was cracking lure, love that. Going through them, what caught, what I'd recommend, and what I saw other people catch on, to give people an idea. So all of the lures, the way lures are attached is you tie a swivel to your leader, and then on the toe eye of your lure you will then have a split ring, and that's your connection. Rather than using a clip, because clips aren't necessarily strong enough, particularly if you have a cubera, but you need a good strong split ring. So to start off, so that is a Halco Rooster popper. This is the 195 Haymaker. With all my lures, what I've done, except on this one, annoyingly, well, all the other ones apart from this one, I put the weight on them. So just briefly, just to come off that one, as you can see, it's got 80 grams written on it. So I know what they are weight-wise straight away. They come standard with trebles. I've always put a single on its tail, and I turn the front hook into a double. I don't want the extra prong. Obviously it's barbless, but I've left a treble on some of the poppers purely to help them stay in the water. Sometimes I will use a treble rather than a double to keep the lure, the treble hook actually biting into the water, to keep the lure doing that rather than it coming out and skipping as such, so it's not popping. So that I found very useful. I'll go on to makes of swivels and split rings in a minute. So Halco Rooster Popper Haymaker. This is the if you want one of these, just look up Haymaker. That's the biggest size they do in them. Then coming down was this one. So this is 150 grams, as you can see there. This is a Rapala Magnum Explode. Very popular lure. Lots of the guys were using these and catching on them. Make a nice big pop. They cast a mile. Very impressive. They come with pretty good hookwear, hardware on them, like the split rings. As you can see, that split ring is just ridiculously powerful, and that's, as you can see, the cutting points of the trebles. Trebles front and rear, but obviously, as you can see, I've made the front a double, and the back has got a 9-0 hook on the back. As mentioned earlier on, a Halco Rooster Popper that I managed to lose because this bloody fluorocarbon coated mono was either hit by barracuda or the line itself broke. No matter what, that spool went in the bin that night. So that worked on its first cast, very annoyingly. Yet again, as you see, I've got a treble on that one to help it keep it in the water. Weight-wise on this one is 78 grams with these hooks and rings. And as you can see, split ring on the nose. The guy was our guide. So this is a Dave Lewis Destination Angler popper. He's even signed it there. They're all signed. These come without hooks, so it is your choice as to what you put hook-wise on there. Even though it was recommended to have a 4.0 singles on them, I found a 4.0s were just a little bit small. So that's either a 6 or a 7.0. Can't remember which, but 6 or 7.0. And obviously a treble on the belly and split ring on the nose. So that's poppers. The guides out there did like poppers quite a lot. It was nearly all surface stuff we used. So the other thing I took was a Nomad dart wing. This is in a variety of sizes. This is 100 grams it weighs, and it's the 220 size. Comes with single hooks, BKK single hooks. You'll notice the piece of shrink tube there. The problem with that first hook is that because of how it is, it can bend and want to go fold over the lure. So by putting a piece of shrink tube on there, it can't do that. No matter what you do, that hook, nearly did it now. Right, apart from then, 99.9% of the time, that hook won't go over. In a cast, I never found it. Because I put that on there, it never went over. So that was a useful little tip. If I was doing it again, maybe I'd make the shrink chip slightly longer, just so it goes to the very, very top over the split ring there. So that was the Darkwing. Good skipping action. We caught on these, so they were good. Then one of the prettiest lures I own, made by Jackfin. This is the Stylus 240, 45 grams. Yet again, the trick on the front, because that hook will try and catch the lure, and like that, it doesn't. My first rooster was caught on one of those. It was, well, you won't catch anything on that. I did, first cast. So I was very impressed with that. It's a really pretty, sexy lure. Yeah, Jackfin makes some proper lures. They are quite expensive, but they are very, very nice. Then, if I just do this for you, the lure that caught me more fish than anything else. So this is a Zoroast Asturi 170 in pink, as you can see, 55 grams. That was a killer. I got to the stage of when things were difficult. I had the piss taken out of me every single day. How many lures did you use today, Mike? I would go through 15 to 20 of them. The other guys might use 3 or 4. My reason being, if I can show them something they haven't seen before, they might go for it. This was proof. This worked really, really well. And all of a sudden, considering the number I caught, this was worth using and worth swapping and chopping and changing. If they're following, and you get a lot of follows, and they will follow from almost when the lure hits the water all the way back to the boat, so 40 yards potentially, and still not take the bloody lure. It's so frustrating, but such fun and so hard work, because you're winding in. When a guide sees a rooster behind your lure, they go, rooster, rooster, wind, 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 faster, faster. You can't wind fast enough. That's difficult to describe, but you can't wind fast enough. And you get the lure back to the boat and the fish hasn't taken it and you're exhausted. But yeah, so this was worth taking. Nice and noisy, and as I said, it works. Another one to give them something different. So this is a Sakura Mr. Joe. This one, I haven't written on it because it says it on it. It's a 60 gram lure. This did well as well. I had 2 or 3 fish on this. It's not marked, as you can see, I'm lucky to say. But yeah, that did well. Sakura tackle is very popular out in Costa Rica. The guides had a pink one that he lent me. And you'll see a jack up in the corner now of a pink Mr. Joe hanging out of its gob. So yes, liked those. The next lures I'm going to come on to are lures that I didn't own at the time, but the other guys did have. I've now bought some because they continually took the piss out the amount of lures that I took with me, because I probably took 60, maybe 70 with me, not knowing what I'd need. The last thing you want to do is go, I've got one of those at home. No use to you at all. So other lures that worked. Sometimes we found they wanted, as I said earlier, lures to be brought back as fast as they could. This is a Halco Max. It's quite heavy at 80 grams, but it's designed to be ripped back really, really quick. And this really turned on the jacks and the roosters as well. These in the UK are about 15 quid, something like that. So not that expensive. The other one is a Sebile Magic Swimmer. This is the fast sinking one. When we used it out there, we didn't have, or the one guy that owned one of these didn't have a single on the back. He just had the treble on the belly. We nicknamed this one Gandhi's Flip Flop, because when it casts, it's in the air like that. But this thing has got an amazing action, and the jacks and the roosters loved it. It's the only one we had on the boat, and I've got one now. I never caught anything on this, but the guide said very, very good lure that catches lots of fish. So this is a Tackle House Feed Shallow in 150. Comes with fairly good trebles on it, but I've turned that one into a double, as you can see, and put a nice single on the back. Cast a mile. They don't have such a big splash on them, but very popular. The lures, their feed poppers they had in their box, virtually had no paint left on them. They'd caught that many fish on them. I said they like Sakura over there. They also like this one that I'm going to have to look up to see what it's called. This is a Surface Skip R in 75 grams. Obviously a surface lure. They had quite a few of these in their box. So these were, again, with no paint left on them. So used well, and they caught lots on them. The only other one I can show you is this one. This is a Rapala Max Wrap Saltwater Sub Walk, and it weighs 65 grams. As you can see, it's got fins on the back. So this has got a really good S walk underwater. Very impressed with this. I need to put a split ring on the nose. Worked very well. That's lures now. Just to talk about how to work them. The poppers. The poppers, most people when you're popping, you're going pop, pop, pop. Well, it wasn't. It was pop, 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 until you get the thing back to the boat. Now, 150 gram lure, a rod that will cast 150 grams, 14,000 size twin power. If I said to most people, I'm 58, so most people of my age, cast that out, do it 5 times, do it that fast. They'll need to sit down and a drink. That was really hard work. This is why some of the stick baits I put on, I knew that I could do a sweep as a stick and stop. Sweep of the stick and stop, just to try and get some energy back in myself. But generally you are winding very, very fast and using poppers. I didn't think you could use them effectively at this speed, but you can. So a fighting belt, do you need one? Yes, they can be useful, to be perfectly honest. Some people took them, some people didn't. It took me so long to actually go on this trip. I ended up buying 2. The first one is, again, a Sakura one. So that's a Sakura belt. I think it's just called a Sakura fighting belt. So quite a small pouch. It's nice from the point of view that it does have a pad around the back. But that's quite a nice, neat, small one. I also ended up, I was gin shopping one night, as one does, and I ended up buying an MC Works butt pad. This thing was so comfortable. When you're fighting a fish, no pressure on it, on your body at all. Stick the butt in there and it's just great. I kept my scissors on one side, pliers on the other side in a pouch, and yeah, they were really good. Highly recommended. If I was going to go again, which one would I take? I'll take them both. That would leave them back at the hotel for just in case, and that's the one I've used every day. So the pliers, the scissors I took were the ceramic ones. I've done a video all about ceramic scissors. These ones are just stupidly good. They're the only ones. Don't buy anything else. Buy these, they're brilliant. Everything else is rubbish compared to those. If there's something better, please tell me. I won't believe you, but please tell me. Pliers. So I've done a video about these. So these are the HPA split ring pliers, the big ones. The boats had, well, I counted, there's 2 boats that we had. They both had 3 pairs of these on board. That's all they used. They didn't use anything else. There must be a reason for that. They gave me no problems. They're expensive. They're sort of 50 quid touch, you know, once they're posted to you. Highly recommended. I've done a video about these, but yeah, they're really good. A knot puller. So when you're tying a swivel onto your 180 pound leader, you want to be able to pull it. You can't really hold the swivel hard enough in your fingers, so clipping the swivel on there and then giving it a really good pull makes it very easy. So a knot puller. A FG knot braid puller to try and pull braid out if it's snagged in a rock or anything like that. I've done videos about these, how to make them. You'll also see a video by Constant Angler on his channel of how to make them. But they're out there. Don't spend money. You can spend 30 plus quid on a knot puller. You can make that. I think we made these for something like about 2 or 3 quid each. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Brilliant things. What have we got now? So swivels. The swivels and split rings. The split rings I took that I used most of were these decoy split rings. Those are the extra heavy ones. These are 150 pound. I took some of the lighter ones. I've got to move them apart so I can see what they are. Those are, oops, £90 ones. And just in case I felt really brave, there's some £200 ones. But the 150s were exactly what I needed. Swivels. There's two makes of swivels that I used. The big ones, those ones, barrel swivels, came from Terry at Gigabyte. So look him up there. I've got a ridiculous breaking strain swivels. These have got 212 pound breaking strain. That swivel is mad. Could lift me just about. These ones weren't from Terry. I can't remember what make they were. They were recommended via Briggsy. Briggsy? Yeah, Briggsy and Monty Tide Crew. So that's the smaller one I used. I used that one on my medium setup. But even these ones have got... they're a size 1. And I can't read it from there, but they're well over 150 kilo breaking strain. I liked a small waterproof box to put them in, so I could take that out of my bag, and it could get a bucket of water over it, and everything would still be nice and dry in there. The bag I took on the boat was two companies make them, both Penn and Abu. It's their collapsible boat bag. That was also my cabin bag on the plane, so I didn't have to take an extra bag. And not that I've got that down here with me. Highly recommended, really liked that. Worked well, one piece of luggage doing two things. So as I just mentioned, there was the boat bag that I put everything in when I actually went on the boats, and in it was this. So this is a missing at sea lure roll. As you can see, there's lots of compartments that all drain, so if need be, you can just put the whole thing with your lures in a bucket of fresh water at the end of the day, hang it up, everything gets rinsed off, and it keeps your kit rust-free. So that was a really good piece of equipment, highly recommended. As you've seen by my lures, I like hooks on them. I know lots of people would take their lures and not have hooks on them, put hooks on them as they needed. The reason for me putting hooks on all my lures was that I wanted just to be able to pick a lure up and go with it. I didn't want to go, oh, hang on a minute, fish, just let me change my hooks. So yeah, that was the reason for taking the lure off. Just as I do mention hooks, the hooks that I tended to put on all my lures were yet again from Terry at Gigabyte. He did well out of me for this holiday. Were BKK Lone Diablo singles. They have got breaking strains on them, but you can lift a car with them. They're very strong, very sharp, and I've not had one of them rust. Another point with the split rings I mentioned earlier on, which is, I think, really important. Those decoy split rings, none of them rusted at all. They did get rinsed every day, but zero rust. And even having been rinsed and dried off now and back hanging up where they should be, they still haven't shown any signs of rust. Every other make of split ring I've tried rusted. So those decoy ones, I really, really recommend them. They were fantastic, as were those BKK Lone Diablos. But from what I've been told, there's a bit of a supply issue of getting those in the UK from now onwards, but that's not my problem. Next thing I want to talk about was gloves. You'll see in a picture of my Saragossa where the line is pouring off the spool and you can't read the spool because it's blurred. The gloves you see there were these gloves, but on day one. So these gloves, these are Nomad design gloves, so they're leather palmed and breathable backs, which are really nice, really comfortable. These were from Rockmax in the UK, who is quite expensive, but yeah, he's the UK importer, so if you want them, that's where you've got to get them from. What I would suggest is if you're going to buy some of these gloves, you want them as tight as you possibly can. If I just show you with one of them, like these are, let's just see, I've got a size on them somewhere. These are extra large. I've got fairly big hands, I like to think. And when I put on an extra large one, bear in mind they're dry at the moment. They're tight between all my fingers, which is good, but they're still a little bit loose on the ends. I would like to have tried a large, because when they get wet, and they will get wet, they do feel a little bit bigger. But they're good from the point of view that the back of your hand is completely protected as well. from the sun more than anything else. But yes, after 1 week's use, that's what's happened to them. The other ones I took slightly different because I had these ones here. These are the BKK gloves. These first of all. If I just show you these. Now, the BKK gloves, Terry at Gigabyte again. He had some of these. I don't think he's got any left now. But these ones are designed for Japanese people, and as a result they are quite tight. So these are an extra large. They're only just big enough, so you can see there, I can pinch there and that's not skin under there. But that tight fit was actually really comfortable to wear. So I like them. You do need gloves. A finger stall will work, yeah, that's not a problem. And some people didn't bother, but if you're casting braid that's that heavy, and particularly if your hands get wet, you know, you're on a boat, you're fishing, for goodness sake, you will get wet hands. It can really mess up your thumb. Get a pair of gloves, your hands will love you for it. Just to carry on with regards to clothing, excuse me, bring my crib sheet back on the table, but I need it. Clothing. It can't be overemphasised that you're in the sunshine all day long for 30 degrees. I live in the UK, my skin isn't used to that. You need protection. Factor 50, obviously. But I found a pair of Craghoppers trousers, which were the lightest weight ones they do, that were SPF 50. So I wore those every day. I had it was an AFCO fishing top, so UV 50 again. It had thumb loops, so the sleeves came up to about there on my hands, gloves over the top, so there's no skin exposed there. Obviously the rest of the shirt, well then there's a buff inside it that can go up to there, and it's got a hood as well, and I had a cap on, so I had no skin exposed to me. As one of the guys who was on the holiday with us said, if I wanted a suntan, I wouldn't have come on a fishing holiday. It wasn't a holiday to get a suntan, and the last thing you wanted to do was go and get sunburn on day one and not be able to fish. So yes, I looked like the white Englishman abroad, but I didn't get sunburn and I could fish all day, every day. That clothing was great from the point of view that we were sweating like hell, but it's wicking stuff, so you're never actually wet. So highly recommended, can't emphasise it enough. Finally, we get on to your body. As Dave said to us on the first day, he said, if you're not pissing a lot, you're not drinking enough. You need to drink a lot of liquid. You'll sweat a lot, which we did. Something I didn't realise, and I was also recommended to take by one of the other guys that have been on these trips before. Every day take a Barocca or some diaurolite, something like that, to get your minerals and salts back into you, because you'll sweat them out. So that was a good tip for next time. Definitely going to be doing it. Finally, get fit. Because COVID is still prevalent, as much as I was going to the gym, as the trip had been cancelled 3 times before, I was desperate not to go and get it the week before I was going. So I didn't go to the gym for 3 to 4 weeks before the trip happened. I wish I had done. This trip was physically demanding, and I can't overemphasize that. You need to get yourself fit or be very young, therefore, by the nature of that, be fitter. Because fitness, it will test your fitness. You'll have aches in places and cramps in places where you didn't know you'd get them before, because you're doing things you don't normally do. So that's pretty much the end of the video. One other thing I will mention, even though Adrian did offer me the option of taking GoPros with me, so I can video it and show everyone, you know, me live fishing, that kind of thing. For me, this is the kind of videos I do. I don't do videos of me actually fishing, because when I'm fishing, I'm fishing. I don't care about YouTube. I might go and take some pictures, stills, and post them on groups here and there, but when I'm fishing for me. So the option of taking a GoPro, I wasn't really interested in. As I said, this is the kind of thing I do. So if you've liked this video, please do give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. If you've got any questions, please do ask them below. I'm not the best in the world at answering questions, so please do bear with me. You should also find in the About section at the very top of the bar, go all the way to About, and then you should find my email address as a drop down there. So by all means, do drop me an email if that helps. I think that's about it. Many thanks. Bye now.